This podcast is for entertainment, education, and inspirational purposes only. Nothing in this podcast is diagnostic or direct medical advice and does not establish a practitioner-patient relationship. Seek care from a highly trained medical provider for your healthcare concerns. Yinspired is dedicated to all the grandmothers, aunties, and mothers whose voices weren't heard or listened to, created for the daughters. Aloha and welcome back to Yinspired, a podcast celebrating different perspectives in Chinese medicine and integrative medicine. Here we have casual conversations with everyday practitioners, patients, and students exploring the messy truths of medicine, healing, the taboo, and life. I'm your host, Dr. Haunani Chong Drake, a clinical doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine, a cultural practitioner and steward, mom, dog mama, and military spouse. I am excited to introduce to you today's guest, Ghahramani Singh, who I have known for quite a while, probably over 20 years at this point, right?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for making time for Yinspired for me. It's been a long time. I know we've been keeping up with each other digitally through chats and online spaces, but it really feels like a huge reunion to sit here with you today and to connect with you. I'm really looking forward to our conversation because you reached out. This hasn't really happened in the past where a guest has a specific topic or story they really want to talk about. It's been more of a general, like, yeah, this sounds fun. Let's do it. But I really was so touched when you reached out to me. I think a lot of our conversation today is going to touch on heritage. It's going to touch on healthcare systems. It's going to touch on healing. It's going to touch on spirituality. It's going to touch on self growth. So I'm just really excited for you to be here. I will make sure to share your professional bio in the show notes, but I'd love for you to just introduce yourself to our listeners.
Thank you so much, Wanani. It's such an honor. I feel like I'm coming home. My name is Ghahramani Singh. Sorry, all of a sudden I'm overwhelmed with a fluttering of emotion to be with my sister. My name is Ghahramani Singh. I am an Iranian woman from Tehran, Iran, and I have been so privileged to be in this lifetime to be a healer, a medicine woman, and an acupuncturist and mom. And my journey today will be a lot of what we talked about in just Lyme disease, recovery, lineage, shifting of the lineage, and healing for women on a very deep, sacred level that I have been able to witness over the past about 14 to 15 years. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. You've always had so much to say, and you've always been such a bright light. And
Thank you
I
so
feel so
much.
honored that you would want to share that with me, but also in with the Inspired community. So thank you.
It's such a privilege. Thank you.
I know a little bit more about you than our listeners, but I would love the listeners to get to know you a little bit more. You are a
Sure.
licensed acupuncturist. We met in acupuncture school back in the early 2000s. But I'm curious, what was your relationship with medicine and other forms of medicine and culture growing up? And how did that inform where you are today and why, like, how did you get into acupuncture and Chinese medicine?
Yeah, no, I love that question. So my grandfather was a surgeon in Tehran. And so I remember growing up with him as the Western piece. But, you know, I immigrated to the United States when I was 4, so I wasn't really around him much. But my grandmother was a nurse and she basically helped raise me. And what I noticed is when I would get sick, she would quickly whip up like some kind of herbal decoction that was, some kind of herbal remedy from Iran or food therapy or we never would race to the doctor. We would not go to the hospital right away. That's just not how we did it. And I was always intrigued why she knew all this stuff. And I was like, oh, I never knew that that was part of the culture. The Iranian culture is based on a lot of herbalism, actually. And unfortunately, during the time of westernization in Iran, things were taken away to become more westernized, like my grandfather who wanted to be more in the hospital system. As, back in the day, my grandmother had two home births per se. It shifted. It shifted from natural to hospital setting. And so what happened to me growing up is that my own mother was more Western minded when it came to colds and sinus infections. And unfortunately, the system was not helpful for my health because I was a pretty strong kid, but I had a lot of sinus infections growing up on the East Coast in Boston, Massachusetts, and my mom didn't know better, and there were rounds and rounds of antibiotics given to me. And then my eardrum burst, and I was like half deaf in one ear, and there was no holistic piece that she brought in, strangely. So I remember thinking to myself growing up, I do not want to continue this model. I also felt very gaslighted as a young woman by a male OBGYN who really disempowered me in an experience of a visit. And I was like, this is not the model that feels aligned to what I know is true, which is holistic medicine. And so I don't know. I guess because I had very bad depression. At one point in my life, I was suicidal from depression. And I think it had a lot to do with the repression of the culture. The Iranian culture can be very repressive in expressing yourself. And so I was seeing a therapist at the time, and she was like, have you ever tried acupuncture for your depression and your PMS symptoms? At the time, I was having 10-day periods that were so horrific that I couldn't go to school or work for 2 days out of those, right? So, anyways, my therapist was saying, maybe you should try acupuncture. Because at the time, my mom wanted me to go to a psychiatrist, and I went to a psychiatrist to just make her happy. And the lady looked at me and said, oh, I think you need to be on 3 different medications for your ADD, for your OCD, and your anxiety. And I was like, I don't have two of those things you're mentioning. I don't have OCD, and I don't have whatever the other one was. ADHD. I have ADD, but I'm not like ADHD. And I remember being 25, and I was looking at her and I was like, how can you put a young woman like me without knowing my whole history on psychedelic drugs? I mean, antidepressants without rooting out why this is happening. Okay. And so I remember being a 25-year-old woman, and I was always a rebel. And I told her, I said, you know what? With all due respect, shame on you. I don't agree with anything you're saying. I walked out of there, and I remember thinking to myself, well, that was really powerful. That felt really powerful because I'm not going to put something in my body that doesn't feel aligned with who I am. And then that's when I was like, well, I think I'm going to try acupuncture because this is like another version of doing it naturally. I've had this knowing inside of me to do things the hard way, but more naturally. That's just who I am because I knew that there was a reason why I was having the suicidal depression. I knew it didn't come out of the air, right? And that was my intuitive spiritual psyche kicking in, although I didn't know it at the time, right? Right? Fast forward, I started seeing an acupuncturist, and the first or second session, she was like, oh, no, this is not completely chemical for you. You have a hormonal imbalance. There is nothing wrong with you. Your depression is related to your menstrual imbalance. It's very off. And so I was like, wow, that's affirmation. That's confirmation that I trusted my body. And I was like 26 at the time that I saw her. And 2 years later, after herbs, seeing her twice a week, I literally felt like my depression had lifted probably by like 90%. I wasn't on antidepressants. I was on Chinese herbs. And I was like, this medicine is life giving. It was life giving to me. I felt like somebody handed my life back to me on a gold platter and said, now here it is. Here you are. And then that's when I was like, maybe I should, check this medicine out. And I wasn't 100% because I was also kind of like wanting to do naturopathic school. But, anyways, long story short, I went and I visited San Diego, and I was like, I'm such a airy fairy person. I was like, you know what? I like the weather here. I like the vibe. Sure, let's give it a try. Like, I wasn't even like 100% on PCOM, but then I was like, you know what? Let's just do it. Let's just try it. And that's how I became an acupuncturist.
Oh my gosh, that is so powerful. Thank you so much. It's amazing how I really resonate with so much of what you said, but also that part where you said, it's just who I am. It's my part of my spirit of I've always been a little bit of a rebel and you're okay doing the hard thing, even if it's slower. That is really self reflective and powerful. And I don't know if I would have been able to say it so succinctly, but when you said that, a part of me felt so seen. I was like, oh, I'm part of her spirit school. Oh, that I'm the same way. I'm so the exact same way. And it's hard to put that into words sometimes for people. Were you always so in touch with that inner voice, that inner spirit growing up? Or do you feel like this is something that came online as you grew up and started to explore yourself outside of family and culture?
Yeah, I think I was born with it. I think I came in with this. I mean, if it's interesting, when I found out years later that my father's mother's, basically my great grandfather, was a Sufi who went and studied in India, I was like, all right, dude, hello. That's why. He went for 5 years. Come to find out, I didn't know this till I was 40. I'm 45 in 2 days. At 40 years old, my cousin out of Facebook after I don't know, 40 years found me and was like, "Hey, did you know great grandpa was a Sufi under the radar, and he went to an ashram in India, and we don't know what he studied." And then I was like, oh my God, everything makes sense. Like, this is like from my DNA. And I mean, everything that I felt like where I was the black sheep of the family for my whole life up until that very moment, I felt like she gave me a piece of my spirit. She gave me something so powerful. And I was like, of course, this is from my DNA. Of course. He probably studied with the gurus, most likely. I mean, he was in an ashram for 5 years. And so, yes, I think that I was born with it, but I think it came from the lineage of my great grandfather because apparently when he came back, he was doing healings on people with crystals in his hands and people didn't know what he was doing. Yeah. And like, no one talks about this except for, a few people in the family who are very psychic. Like, my mom didn't even know about this. So, my dad, whose grandfather that was, didn't even know about this. Like, how does it happen?
When you said that, my whole body, I had truth bumps. I call them truth bumps instead of
Wow.
goosebumps. Like sometimes there's goosebumps just because of temperature, but like that spiritual knowing that, the angels, whatever you want to call them, are like talking
Yes.
to you. I just head
Yes.
to toe truth bumps the entire time you said that. So,
Right?
I mean, it's in your DNA. This is ancestral wisdom.
Yes.
You are the direct descendant of that knowledge, that knowing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it blew me away because I
But you
was
didn't
always
find this out until, like, 5 years ago, 6 years ago?
yeah. And then I was always wondering, why do I like yoga? Why do I love these Sanskrit mantras? Like, why does it speak to me? I mean, have I been Indian in a past life? Probably. And then I was like, oh my God, he was probably doing these mantras or prayers or asanas. For all I know, I haven't talked to the guy because he's dead, right? And I'm just like, oh my God. So he started coming in visions of my meditations at times. He would like come into my meditations and show me shapes and symbols with crystals. And I'm like, whoa, like that is so next level. And then when I went to get an esoteric acupuncture treatment from Mikio Sanke, he's a very amazing esoteric acupuncturist. He does like grid work with designs on the body with needles. One time he did a session on me and I was like, my grandfather is in the room. Like literally. I know this sounds super woo woo for some people listening, but for the people who are very like they're light workers, it is not something weird. We have different astral realms and things we can access when you have this kind of gift. And so I realized in that moment that this was supposed to happen because my whole life I thought it was a curse. I thought this was what made me different, and therefore it was bad because it was different than my parents because I they didn't understand it, right? And then I realized this is supposed to be exactly as it's supposed to be, right? So that's what I want to encourage people listening here today. Like, you don't have to be anybody you're not. You can be as weird, as radical, as beautiful, as different, as colorful as you want. But that's because that's your elixir, right?
Love that. It is.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, you don't have to share, but your grandfather came to you and you were in during an acupuncture session.
Yeah.
Did he share more? Was it like a download or he just was
It was
there?
a
I'm curious
download.
because this happened recently. So,
To you, okay. So, yes, I think it was a download because every time I would go see Dr. Mikio Samke, he's very powerful and he's from another realm on his own. So, when he did these in really eccentric and really powerful what we call gridding of the needles, where he grid works on the physical body with opening the different chakra systems with the needles, I started seeing rainbow colors, and I said to him, "Oh, is this normal?" He said, "You're accessing something of the divine. Let it come through." And I was like, "Okay." So I went into like a deep, as you could call it, like a trance or a deep sleep at that moment. And then I saw my grandfather come through and he was just using his hands. He didn't talk. It was a download. He was using his hands and he was using crystals and he was doing like grid work. And then he was changing shapes with his hands and moving energy. And I'm like, whoa, dude. Because that's what I do sometimes when I don't realize when I'm doing acupuncture on people. I see designs when I close my eyes with my hands. And I was just like always thinking, what the heck am I doing? you know? And
yeah.
it must be from him or
Yeah.
something. Yeah. So yeah, it's very interesting.
So I'm going to share something I don't know if I've said this out loud to many people at least, is
Yeah.
similar to you. After I have taken an intake with someone and I'm holding their pulse. And I'm not a pulse person in the sense of like some people, they like feel
Yeah.
all the things. I take it because it's connection and it slows, it's
Yeah.
that heart to heart resonance, the co regulating of nervous systems. Every once in a while, when I'm feeling the pulse, I'll close my eyes and I too will see a grid, like the ley
Whoa.
lines, but specific to that person. It's not always the same. Sometimes it's in color, sometimes it's light. And sometimes it'll be like gritty, like a grid over here, but then like empty. And then I'm like, "Oh, that's where." Yeah. And
That's
so and
amazing.
I know this is not how they teach it at school. So for people listening, this is not what they teach in school at all. Like
Not
what they
at
teach in
all.
school is very like evidence-based healthcare. How are you going to use an acupuncture needle with a diagnosis? It's very, in many respects, part of the healthcare system that everyone is aware of. We just also happen to use language and use concepts to come to our diagnosis in a different way and see the body more expansively than just the meat suit, right? The bones, the flesh. We also acknowledge the interconnectedness of the mind, emotions, the spirit, etc. But what we're talking about right now is not what they teach us in school at all. At least the
Absolutely.
classes I went to.
No, not at all. I mean, at
Okay.
all. Like maybe
Yeah.
Japanese acupuncture that I practice in general is more spiritual. I mean, we do really address the shen with the root treatments, but none of what you're talking about with closing your eyes and seeing the grid work of what that means is like where the energy feels empty. That's where we know where we need to go and maybe do some points to fill the deficiency. This is for acupuncturists listening right now. You can understand what we're following is energy in our vision. So it's very powerful. And my husband, I noticed my husband's also an acupuncturist, Makunda. He does this with Reiki a lot. He
Mm,
sees things with his hands and he has his eyes closed and he was doing a session on me the other day and he just gets, he gets information. He gets information and it's not even verbal. It's completely with the energy. And I was like, what did you just do on me? And he's like, oh, I could feel this, that, that. And I'm like, that's exactly what I was thinking but I didn't even tell you a word. So we are all translating energy. It's amazing what we are
yeah.
able to do.
Yeah. And what you said about your grandfather coming to you again, I just had a conversation with someone yesterday in the clinic. because they said, "Sometimes I'm worried you're gonna think I'm weird of the things I wanna tell you during and after treatment." And I was like, "Oh, please. I have heard it all. Like, there's nothing too weird, nothing too out there, and it's confidential, right?" And they're like, "Okay, that's really good to know." Because she goes, "Is it possible that while I was lying there, my grandmother came and did some work on me?" And I was like, "Absolutely. Yeah." And she was just like, you could see the relief. She goes, "I was so connected with my grandmother growing up." They have more like Native American, grew up in New Mexico lineage. I don't know what specific, so I don't want to misrepresent, but she said, "I grew up with her and everything was about song and story and the herbal remedies." That's how she grew up. So she didn't know how different and unique it was until it wasn't there. And so she's like, "I felt like when the needles were there, I could hear her songs and she was there again." And she said everything changed.
My
Yeah.
god, she
In one
totally came in.
yeah, absolutely. And I was like, sometimes, and this is how I truly believe, this is not what's on the website and the marketing and all the things, but sometimes I feel like we are there giving people permission to be just fully themselves
Yeah,
in a regulated moment.
definitely.
And what a gift.
I mean, seriously, like people don't have this in real time. It's because the world is too busy. There's too much noise. And what we get to do, see, I feel like we're the lucky ones. What we get to do is we create the sacred space. We get to help them come back to who they are, right? They get to, we get to call them home. And I'm not saying like we're God or anything, we're facilitators. And so they're longing to remember who they are, right? And so we get to be almost like part of that medicine to be like, "Hey, nervous system, this is really where you belong. You don't belong in this chaotic and scary world," right? And then the body has a knowing. It has a memory or whatever you want to call it. Maybe it's the soul.
Yeah. Yeah, what powerful work. Yeah, and again, this is not what's taught in school necessarily, at least not the school we went to. Maybe some of the other schools out there might do that, but not the one we went to. No way.
Definitely not.
It's not on the board exams. This is not what you're getting tested on to get your license at all. But
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that because it also
Or
reminds me like there's certain people you meet along the way. And
yeah,
sometimes like we always had a connection in school. And
big
so
time.
it's no surprise that I hear you sharing these stories, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, well, of course." In so many ways, our spirits must come from the same pot or something, or it was like the same star constellation. I don't even know what to call it. I heard someone call it the same cauldron the other day, and I was like, "Well, that makes sense too." Like, there's just certain people you're here at the same time on
Yes.
this planet with, and you have similar experiences and stories and gifts, but also totally different in the sense that it's like, you just want everyone's gifts to open up, like, you're here for
Yes.
a reason, you need to be the most Tina you can be so that the world can receive and also to give back to
Yes.
you in that same harmonious way.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
and I call it soul family. I feel like people that, like, I recognize, a lot of gurus talk about soul remembrance. It is like, I knew you, and I knew another best friend of mine in our school, Esther. She was also part of my soul group. Like, these are called soul groups. We've been together before. However you wanna call it, when maybe we were medicine women together, most likely. But yes, this is a thing. This is a true thing. It's not a fake. Yeah.
I fully feel that, and also, sometimes you see or recognize one of your soul family in a moment in the most unexpected place, and then that
Yeah.
connection stays forever.
Yes.
Yeah. So when you travel, or I remember when we moved to Michigan, literally turning off the car, we like pulled into our new house. We just moved from Okinawa during 2020, turned turned off the car, opened the door, and this woman was walking right by with her two kids. She happened to be the neighbor two doors down, and I knew it. I just knew it. Like, knew it. I walked in the house, I turned to my husband, I turned to Tad, and I was like, she's soul family. And he's like, how do you know that? God, this happens to you all the time. How do you know this? And I'm like, you just know. You know when you know. And sure enough, within a day or two, we're texting nonstop. We're like, I know you. I remember you.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. In
Yeah.
Japan, I mean, see, it can happen anywhere. It's not limited to space and time. Yeah,
It's not. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, across the globe for sure. So you graduated, you've been in practice for how long now? And where is your practice?
Yeah, so my husband and I own an acupuncture practice. When COVID happened, we opened our Lake Forest, California, portion. It was only in Fountain Valley. So now we have two spots. We have one in Fountain Valley, which is North Orange County, and we have one in South Orange County, which is Lake Forest. And it's called Healing Light Family Acupuncture. And when COVID happened, I had to stay home and homeschool my children, which I was actually happy to do. And I actually really enjoyed it quite a bit. So, yeah, we have two different locations. I think it's been actually really amazing to be able to just be able to see different kinds of people. He sees a lot of the IVF people, and I would say I see a lot more of the moms. I feel like my purpose now is really to kind of hold space for a lot of the women who are obviously trying to become moms. The pregnancy, a lot of it is, I think, transitions in life. People really start seeing me. I've noticed because I've had a lot of transitions in my life with autoimmune and this and that. But it's been really cool because I've really been able to see so many different women. And now I'm seeing like even perimenopausal women and older women, which I'm really loving because they are the wisdom keepers. They are what I call the queens, Like I love learning from older women. Like I'm at that precipice of my life where I want to go and be with older women. Or I
Me
mean all
too.
different women, but I want to be with the elders,
Yeah.
you know?
Me
So,
too. Me
yeah.
too. Yeah, so it sounds like it's called a family practice. I know based on
Yeah.
our conversations, you do spend a lot of time on the women's health side and like you said,
Yes.
autoimmune.
Yes.
Is that always your interest? I think it was your interest back in school, but was that like
It
a
shifted.
natural it shifted?
Yeah, like I still treat a ton of I love birth. So I became like a doula at some point and a childbirth instructor. And it really put me in the trajectory of the birthing world, which I still love. Truly, I love it so much. I still do help women go into natural labor with acupuncture, and I work with a lot of doulas. I work with a lot of home birth midwives. But see, now that I'm in perimenopause, I'm in full perimenopause, by the way. And I think I'm close to menopause. I am feeling a call for something different. I feel like I need to create something for the women who are in transition. And even though I'm still working tremendously with the birth community and pregnancy, and I'll always love moms, always, because I'm a mom, right? But I feel like I'm being challenged, and I was resistant to this. I was like, "No, I created all this. I worked all hard on this specialty." And then spirit was like, "Too bad, too sad. You're shifting." And I feel like I want to create like a perimenopause master mind group or something because we don't have support. We don't have support going through this change, like nowhere. And it's getting better on Instagram and social. It's definitely coming up with Marie Claire and a lot of vocal women that are writing books about it. Um, but it feels lonely. Like I don't feel like some of my friends understand why I wake up with palpitations because I'm in perimenopause or like I'm having anxiety that's irrational. Those are all perimenopausal signs I didn't have 10 years ago. Do you know what I'm saying?
100%, I'm in it too. So, yeah, it's been a hard for me, it's been the rational mind with the years and decades of trusting my body and knowing my body and
Yeah.
giving myself that space to lean into those signs rather than bypass them or needing it to be all this quote unquote perfect. So I'm finally at that place where it's like, okay, body, like you and I are on the same team now. I'm befriending my emotions instead of stuffing them, all these
Yeah.
things. And then bam, like 2 months later, it was like I started having panic attacks. And I'm like, I
Yep.
know all the tools. Like, if another person in the wellness industry tells me another tool for panic, or anxiety, I'm like, I know people, believe me, I've been studying them for 2 decades, like, I have a plenty of tools for it, but it is what it is, and it so I hear you, I'm in it too. I call them anxiety or panic attacks because I can't figure out a right word for it because 'cause I've never had this before, but that's what it feels like. Yeah, so I
Totally.
hear you, I'm so in it, and also, like many people, completely being dismissed by my healthcare provider. So
Of
it's like,
course.
how do we find this balance? How do I also continue to honor what I know to be the natural progression of change of my life, and I wanna celebrate it rather than push
Yeah.
it aside. And then also at the same time, no answers. It's like, thank goodness we are alive when we are though, and there are those doctors just
Yes.
ahead of us who also saw the writing on the wall and are like, "We're changing this." So we do have
Yes.
more guidance than our parents or even like, my aunties and, who are just slightly older than me. So I'm very blessed that we have what we have, but there is still so much research, so much work, so much knowledge that
Yeah.
is going to unfold in the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years. Yeah,
And it's getting better. Like, I feel
it
like I
is.
was able to see my OBGYN and she already knew I needed HRT for progesterone. And I was like, wow,
Yeah,
that's different.
right?
Because I was getting like 8 migraines a month, and I had never had a headache till I turned 40, and I was like, "This is not normal. This is absolutely hormonal." And it was actually in the beginning when I turned 40, I was getting like 1 migraine a month, and it was always right before my cycle. And I was like, "Okay." See, I didn't know at the time, that's early perimenopause. Those are the early signs that you're supposed to know, but I didn't know until I was
Right.
45, no, maybe 44 last year. And then she's like, "Oh my gosh, how come somebody hasn't given you progesterone?" As soon as she gave me progesterone, my migraines went from 8 to 2, which is still significantly better. And my sleep was like night and day. Like I sleep maybe 6 hours straight without waking up 2, 3 times a night like I used to. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like that
Yeah.
is huge.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I'm curious because you do have all this knowledge, this Chinese
Yeah.
medicine wisdom. Did you, because this is what I'm doing. I'm like, I'm going to try to do it the Chinese medicine and acupuncture way first, right? Did you go through that journey as well, being like, oh, I've got lots of tools?
I did. I was on herbs for 4 years. I mean, I'm still on herbs. See, the beautiful part about Chinese medicine is that I'm doing my progesterone at night before I sleep. And I'm taking herbs during the day for the palpitations and the anxiety. And, our very, very, sage master herbalist, Zev Rosenberg. I mean, he's amazing. He's like, oh, you just have running piglet chi. It just means that the energy, it's going in reverse. And that's what happens when you're actually close to menopause. So don't be afraid. Let's just support you. So, yeah, I took herbs for 4 years without getting on HRT. And then I was getting so moody. I was acting like an animal that was aggressive all the time. And I was like, what is wrong with me? I am not supposed to be that angry about something really silly. And I was like, okay, ladies, somebody needs some help. So I made myself get on progesterone. And then, yes, I'm taking both herbs and progesterone. And it honestly has been a game changer because during the day, I notice my anxiety is worse for me personally. And by the way, this could be different for everybody. I don't want people to take this as cookie cutter. But for me, I get anxiety mostly during the day. It's very calm at night. I don't have problems at night. It's strange. It's only a daytime thing. So, anyways, yeah, you can do the herbs. And then if it's still not working, even Zev told me it's okay. You need the progesterone. You actually need it at this time in your life. And I was so happy that he affirmed that for me. And he's like, you also need the herbs. So I'm on herbs. I'm also on HRT. And, I'm trying to do movement, like, just kind of gentle barre class or I walk every day. Like, I'm not a big exerciser, which I wish I was, but I do some form of movement, even if it's 30 minutes walking every day, because I feel like you have to when you're in perimenopause in general. You have to just move your chi. It could be a simple walk. That's good enough sometimes,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. going through this stage of life is probably like you is the ability to go down the rabbit hole with the information, both on the like the Western allopathic medicine side, the new emerging research, but also the Chinese medicine side is just like I'm
Same.
so motivated and passionate. It's like it feels like I've come back to when we were starting school and you just were
Yeah.
like a sponge and learning and you just couldn't get enough. And then after you graduate, you kind of have to, at least this is how it was for me. I was like, I had to step away from all of it because it was like, oh my gosh, I feel like foie gras. Like I was a goose and they were just shoving so much information. My liver is out of whack. My digestion's out of whack. My sleep. I mean, I was so out of balance out coming out of school. I was like, I'm pretty sure that's not the point, but that's where we're at. But I have that excitement again, learning and synthesizing the information. That part is very exciting, and I haven't had that in a while.
Yeah, because it's like your journey where you are in your whatever you call it, the 7, 8 year cycle in Chinese medicine. You are see, I feel like I'm a Taurus and I can be really stubborn and I don't like change. But change is inevitable. It's inevitable. And so it's part of life. And so I realized if I start flowing with the change instead of being so like resistant, I was feeling better. I was honoring what actually was happening because I was thinking to myself, wow, my cycles are becoming pretty irregular. This could be nearing true menopause, possibly. And I actually had a grieving moment. Actually, I did have like probably a few months of I was grieving, like, oh my gosh, I'm no longer, gonna, be in the mother archetype or whatever, if you think of like the archetypes. And then I was like, this is like going to be a new lease on life. Why am I looking at it from this, society is painting it as such a like a bad phase. This is actually like a new what do we call it in Chinese medicine? It's like a new spring or something. It's like
Yeah,
a
new spring,
new
second spring.
second spring. That's what
Yeah.
that's what we're supposed to honor. And in this society, in the American society, or shall I say the Western society, it's not yet there, but it is getting there, right? So yeah, so I think we're probably just having to know that it's not bad.
Well, I hear what you're saying is that for so long it was taboo to talk about. Like, you don't
Yeah, it
talk about your
was.
body, you don't talk about your menstrual cycle, you don't talk about
Yeah.
blood, you don't talk I mean, there's so many things you don't talk sexual health.
Yes. That's another one. But yeah, this is absolutely true what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and now the only way to make something not taboo is to start talking about it. So I appreciate you going into this because
of
I to
course.
me, it's the most relevant thing in my life right now. My kids are learning about it as I am, and they're so sick and tired of it because I'm like, "Guess what I learned today?" And they're like, "Oh, not again." I mean, they're gonna be their own experts in perimenopause as they're going through their own puberty transition. It's gonna be they're gonna be like, "Oh," but I'd rather it to be that way. I
Yes.
didn't get any information. I didn't
Same.
even know it was thing I've been in such denial for the last few years, and all my friends kept telling me, they're like, "How naughty." I mean, you of all people know you're in perimenopause, right? And I'm like, "No, no, 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 no." I was literally in such denial finally about 4 or 5 months ago. I was like, "Oh god, the writing is on the wall." Yes, you're right. Everyone's been right. Yeah, I
Yeah,
was in absolute denial, and now that
totally.
it's there and I'm being more accepting of it, yeah, it's just like jump on that slide, and now I'm just sliding along being like, "Whoa, look at this," There's so
Exactly.
much to learn, and it's
Yeah.
so freeing to just not try to control it.
There you go.
'Cause that's what I was like, "Oh, I have all these tools. I have the meditation or the movement and this or that, the essential oils, the acupuncture,
Yes.
the herbs. I'm gonna do this." Like, but looking back, I realized I was trying to control the change that was inevitably gonna happen. And so now that
Exactly.
it's more like, "Whoa," now I'm on the roller coaster just going with it, I am using those things to support this natural change that's gonna happen. And it's
Mm.
been actually better for my sleep and better for my mood and better, to not try to control it, but to just go
Yeah.
with the flow with it.
Exactly. You're going with the
Yeah.
Tao, you're flowing, you're going down the river instead of going upstream where it's much harder, right? It's absolutely, yeah. I think, see, that's part of our evolution. The perimenopausal stage, I feel, is supposed to reveal to us, like, who we truly are, which, can be scary sometimes because it's really big sometimes or it's really vulnerable sometimes, right? And then all layers start falling off or peeling off. And, you have the snake skin that's basically shedding, correct? It's like
Yes.
you're shedding everything you used to be. Well, that's scary. It's scary as shit, excuse my language. And it's scary to feel like, oh my God, I'm not that 20-year-old vivacious woman anymore. My God, I don't feel so sexy, or I don't feel like, I don't know. Like I was having those moments where I was like nostalgic about my 20s, and I'm like, what is going on here? But it was important for me to have that because I realized that I'm evolving. I'm evolving. That's okay. And this is what's supposed to happen. And I can say that it's becoming safe. It didn't feel safe in the beginning for me. It felt really foreign. Like you said, I wanted to control every part of it. And I seriously was making myself nuts, right? So yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is such an interesting dichotomy or juxtaposition of like being in a practice, being a practitioner who day in and day out, you're regulating people's nervous systems so much. And we're like creating these environments that are so, open and spacious and calm. And then here we
Yeah.
are like nitpicking ourselves to but
It
I hear
happens.
you. I know we're human. It totally happens, but I always laugh at myself too. I give myself way more grace. I used to get really hard on myself when I was
Totally.
first in practice, being like, "Oh, you have to be a model of Chinese medicine because then your patients," and that was such old belief system, but I really, really was so hard on myself for so many years.
Of
Um,
course.
yeah, so it's much better to be in this place of openness, acceptance,
Yeah.
we'll see. Things
Exactly, and
change. Things are
I don't know
always
how
changing.
I don't know how I'm gonna be today to the next day, but I'm just trying to be curious. I'm at that
Yeah.
place of like, let's be curious and let's not be so scared, and this is not gonna be forever. I almost have to like kind of talk to my inner child because she gets a little freaked out at times and be like, honey, this is okay. This is normal. You're gonna be fine. I literally have to coach myself several times a day when I have these moments of anxiety that come up. Like, and I'll wake up with it and I'm like, oh, this is hormonal. Like, I know what this is. But I still have to talk myself through it and be like, this is okay. You're just going through a season. This is a season,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so I feel like if we talk to our scared inner child self a little bit more, it can make it a little bit less scary, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a big fan of parts work, like internal
Yes,
family
parts
system
work.
parts
Oh,
work. Yeah. So I've
absolutely.
been that's been a very, very useful tool being like, okay, this part of me is worried about, and putting
Yeah,
language on it so it doesn't feel so overwhelming at times.
that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. Um, the thing that I hear all the time in clinic, because I have this really unique, I call it a generational gap in my clinic because
Uh,
I see a lot of college students, but then I see a lot of professors, faculty, staff. And so I have people who are young 20s, just, have all the chi in the world. And I'm like, wow. And then I have a lot of perimenopausal or menopause, right? And someone recently came in and they were like, I just don't know who I am anymore.
mm,
And I see that being reflected. It helps having a self-contemplative practice for so long where I don't question that anymore, but if I didn't have those decades of meditation and yoga and self-reflection and growth, I could see how this time period at perimenopause, that's it. Like, who
yeah.
am I? Who That question is highlighted in such a big way.
Yes.
It can
Yes.
completely uproot everything.
Yeah, and some people, they do get very fearful. I mean, it's very normal. I want to normalize that you might have what they call a midlife crisis. And actually, that's your breakdown before your breakthrough. So it's like you have to break down to be able to reach your breakthrough. And I learned this when I was studying with Joanna Lindenbaum. She's a sacred depths trauma informed coach. I did her coaching certification. It was like this 2-year life changing sacred coaching school. And I remember her saying, every breakthrough in your life whether it be your health, whether it be your child, whether this, that, you will have many or smaller or bigger breakdowns because the program is not working anymore. The program is upshifting, it's actually upgrading. And I was like,
Yeah.
wow, like this makes so much sense. And I was like, so I try to, with those perimenopausal women, or even women dealing with illness, or even women dealing with, like, let's say infertility, let's say, I tell them, okay, the program that you're working with right now, it needs a couple tweaks. It's probably just something that your body is maybe on some level not aligned with anymore. Just let yourself fall apart a little bit. Let yourself. That's not easy. Let yourself go through it. Let yourself rage. Let yourself be angry. Let yourself cry. Let yourself just all of it, all of it. Let yourself be the animal, whatever. Like, this is what animals do in the wild. Like, if you look at animals in the wild, see, this is what she taught us in the program, which I thought was fascinating. She's like, look at how animals work in the wild. When they are about to fight a predator, they let themselves get ferocious and wild because they have to. And then afterwards, they shake it, they shake a bunch, and then they go back to completely like as if nothing happened. Well, if you don't let yourself do that during perimenopause, you're going to become that animal that is holding everything inside. And then that becomes a panic attack. That becomes anxiety. You see what I'm saying? Like, so I know this is like way off topic, but if we followed the way nature was and allowed ourselves to feel those deep, very intense emotions, which I'm currently going through right now in my life, I feel like if we give that permission, the breakthrough is near the corner. It's almost there. And you just have to hang on into the breakdown piece. Yes, get support. Don't do it by yourself. But then you have to know that there's light on the other side. Like, I also believe, I'm very spiritual. So I also believe, like, God doesn't give you what you can't handle, man. Like, this is my faith. I do fully believe that he or she or the universe or God, divine order, does not allow you to have so much bad that you can't come over. You can't overcome it. Like, you have been given the tools in this lifetime, even if it doesn't feel like it for many months, maybe even several years. You know, when I got sick with Lyme disease, I was like, I don't know how to do this. I don't even know what this is. Right. And so you see, there is an opportunity being given to you're being given an opportunity right now to look at your circumstance and say, okay, I know that I'm in it, but how can I honor what I'm feeling right now?
Yeah.
And then, right?
Yeah.
And then where is the breakthrough after that? By the way, ladies, this is not going to happen overnight. A breakthrough doesn't happen usually overnight. It sometimes takes months.
I was gonna say sometimes it's years. I'm such a visual person, and I have this vision of like a pyramid right now, but it could be a house, it could be any structure.
Yeah.
And you always start with the foundation. You have to get the foundation solid, and then from there you build up. Well, each of us have been building on that foundation for what? 4 decades, 5 decades?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, this divine order comes in and shakes up the foundation. It's the foundation of who we are is being shaken. And so it takes time to then have to unbuild the pyramid, unbuild the house, get to the foundation, let the new foundation be set. But that's a hard process. That is scary. It's terrifying, especially if you don't have role models for it. Even for people like you and I who like, we dive into change. We love the spiritual. We're like,
Yes.
shake me
Yes.
up, throw me around like dice in Vegas. Like, come on, let's do this. And yet, when you're in it, it never feels good.
Of course not.
It never feels good. It feels like your life is completely being shattered. It feels like nothing that you once knew is true anymore. And it
Right.
really makes you, what do you do when you're in that, when you're like being shaken up, when you're in it? Maybe that's now, or maybe like you brought up, you're on this journey of your Lyme disease diagnosis,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
like when you're in it and it feels awful, what can we do
yeah.
spiritually? What can we do holistically when it feels like shit, when the world's
Oh,
falling apart?
I
What do
mean,
you do?
yeah, I mean, it's so I was I had 5 years of not knowing I had Lyme disease. It was the most scariest experience in the world. I was only diagnosed in 2020 or 2021. And I actually thought at the point of when I was really ill and I was pretty much bedridden. I had to lay on a couch almost 24 hours a day. This was before COVID, right? I actually thought I was gonna die. Okay, now not everybody needs to have that experience, and God, I hope no one has that experience. But um, what I can say on those days, because I still have flares, I still have some Lyme flares quite often. I think it's because of the perimenopause, honestly, because it's creating some inflammation in the body, and outside stress and things like that. But on my really bad days, because I do still have, I would say probably like 1 day a week, I have a flare. And it sounds like a lot, but it's not a lot compared to what it used to be, where I was like 30 days sick. Whereas now I'm like maybe 4 or 5 days out of the month, I have a flare. When I have pain with Lyme disease, it's more fatigue for me, and it can do different things for different Lyme survivors. Um, is I really deep for me, I dig into the spiritual. So yes, I mean I take all the supplements, I take all the herbs, I take all the, whatever I need to get through the day, and I rest. So the biggest thing is I have to rest. It is a signal of I need to slow down. I've done too much, right? So I would say the number one thing is I have to rest. It's like my body will make me rest whether I like it or not, and I fight it a lot. Don't kid yourself. I'm always like, "Why? Like I have stuff to do. I have stuff to do." But my body needs rest. So I rest. Um the second thing I do is I go into prayer. So for me, I'm Christian. You don't have to be Christian. You don't even have to have a religion. For me, I just start doing prayer. For me, it's the same as mantra. I start looking up prayers that give me wisdom and power. Like in Christianity, we call it scriptures. In Hinduism, they're mantras, they're Sanskrit. They have the same feeling and resonance. So I will pull those out and I will say them out loud because I'm in a really dark place on that day. And I will say, like, okay, like, I know I've been healed by his stripes. That's like one of them in Christianity, for instance. Okay, in Sanskrit, it could be something like the Shiva mantra, like clearing fear, for instance, right? There's many different walks that you could do. But for me, because I am so spiritual, I think when you're dealing with an illness such as an autoimmune, or God forbid, if anyone's ever dealing with cancer or something worse, I think the one thing that quickly can pivot the mind is the spiritual body. And why? Why does that happen? Because when you tap into the spiritual, you are bringing in all of those sages and the avatars of light. It's like it's helping you cancel out so much of the dark that you're feeling because those let's say those mantras or those basically energy, mantras are energy, will shift the energy essentially of what you're experiencing. You're still going to probably feel like shit. Maybe it's still going to be physically shitty, and it is what it is. But you have to find something to interrupt the mind. And so that's the biggest takeaway I will give you today is like, I know for me, it is my spirituality. It's the only way I've made it through this. It's the only way I've made it through migraines, Lyme disease, juggling two teenagers, having a practice, working at a university. I've only been able to literally stay above water in this phase of my life, which not has not been easy, by the way, with spiritual gifts or techniques. Techniques. Everyone has access to this, by the way. Everybody can open up a Bible, open up the Bhagavad Gita. Everybody can do something like this for themselves. You just have to look. You just have to seek. And I didn't have a teacher to teach me this. Like, I started going to church. That was like what I did. Okay. For me, that's what helped heal me. But that may not be the path for the next person, right? For maybe some, it's just the physical. But I realized with the Lyme disease, it is not just physical. It had a spiritual and emotional origin that began way before the disease manifested.
Wow. Are you willing to share that with us?
Yeah, yeah. I had been emotionally suppressed and had a awful relationship with my mother. I had a lot of mother wounds, and for years my voice was not allowed to be spoken. And so I would like rage and scream at her about, "Why are you not hearing me? What I'm saying has value." And I did in the time that I got really sick, I'm talking about, like, 5 years ago, I remember it I was very, very, very angry at my mom. I was going through a very hard, radical, whatever you wanna call it, get it out with my mom season, and I had to go there. I had to go there, and I was also very stressed, so it's interesting, like, the Lyme peaked its head during that time because I was, like I was I was I was not allowing myself for so long to share all my pain with her. And by the way, I wasn't able to, like, change her. I wasn't able to, like, fix her, but I was able to, like, rage and, like, yell it out to her finally at age 40 and be like, "No, what you did wasn't right. This is how I feel. You can't shut me up anymore. This is part of my healing. This is what it is. And I know you're not gonna, like, fix my childhood. I know you can't make it right now." By the way, I didn't have a bad childhood. It was just that she's a very big narcissist, okay? My mom is a very big narcissist because her father was a narcissist. He was a surgeon. He was a really hot shit man in Iran. Every woman wanted him. He went and married his mistress, okay? The design was not great that was given to her. I now can see compassion for her. She was given a model that was not healthy. And when that happened, I realized, oh my God, this Lyme disease wasn't just out of the skies. It wasn't, by the way, I don't even remember ever even being bit by a tick, but I did grow up on the East Coast. For all we know, I could have been bit by a tick like 30 years ago. And I don't know, it was dormant. I don't know. But why at that time did it come out 30, 40 years later? There was a reason why. It was emotional repression that created the onset and the opening for the autoimmune. Autoimmunes don't happen just because. It's because of something that's not being expressed.
Thank you so much for sharing. That is so powerful. And
Sure.
you said something earlier too about this is just full circle. You were talking when we started this conversation how so much of where you are today is influenced by your Iranian culture and your grandfather. And growing up, your mom went very Western. And I was thinking, it's interesting. I think about
Yeah.
my blood family who immigrated to the U.S. too. Maybe it's first generation. What you do is they completely pushed away any of their Chinese background. You become as American as possible, as quickly as possible, learning English just to like fit in and to not be hurt
Yes.
or abused, or it's a protection mechanism. And it sounds similar to your mom too. Wow, it's really full circle. So what I'm hearing is you're going through the autoimmune, you were attacking yourself. I always hear that when I hear autoimmune, it's
Yeah.
like self-attacking self. You were attacking yourself, but not just for you. Do you feel like you were like your body started to attack itself for generations as well? Is that what?
I think so. I really
Yeah.
do. I do.
Like, it was
I
a
think,
healing for you and your mom and the lineage
yeah,
itself.
I really do. I've never looked at it that way. And I really think, yes, I think that there was a massive healing that happened at that point. Not to say that like everything's perfect, but it's much better. And I changed as a human being after that experience.
Mm.
I found so much forgiveness after that whole cascade effect happened, and I was able to, obviously do a lot of therapy and a lot of inner work around seeing my mom for the first time as a very wounded daughter, a very wounded little girl who had no way to know better. And when I was able to see that, I fell upon compassion. And, for me, because I'm Christian, I was like, oh, what would Jesus have done to a person like my mom? Would he have given her ultimate love and grace? Of course he would have. Why can't I? Why can't I? She is like the product of abuse, essentially. She's the product of abuse, severe abuse, and it was never healed. Like, she's never seen a therapist. And I feel for her. I really feel for her. But it's amazing how different she is now. It's like now we're, talking 6 years later. She's softer, she's kinder. She's finally on some small like level, she's understanding me. It's like everything changed because of that experience, you know? And so yeah, like I don't know how else to say this, but it brought us closer together because I had to be like Kali Ma and be like, let's just destroy and slice and dice and let's just let like that's like the energy of Kali Ma. And what happens after Kali Ma? Well, once you destroy, you have to start building. You have to start creating. So then we were like able to almost like recreate a new kind of understanding for each other. And we do rub a lot still, but it's not as bad as it used to be where like I really don't want to be around her. I really am happy that I have some sort of healthy relationship. This I never thought would happen in my lifetime, you guys. For those of you listening that have narcissistic parents, it can happen. And I never thought in my lifetime it was ever gonna happen with her. I thought she was gonna just die on the deathbed and that was gonna be it.
So not only have you given yourself life going through this journey, like understanding yourself, resting, it's almost like the Lyme became a teacher.
Yeah,
And
it was.
I don't wanna do that in a way that, like, is
No, it's
gaslighty or
true.
silver lighting, but, like,
No,
it
it's
made you
true.
stop and rest. Like,
Yeah, it did.
Inspired is all about tending to the yin, right? Like you said for 30 days, like, "Rest, my dear, rest." It made you go in and do that self-excavation
Yes, it did.
that you may not have given yourself time to because you were running a practice and raising the kids and being a spouse and being a
Yeah,
part of your community. So in many ways, it like gave you that space to go in and then you rebuilt with yourself. But that also
yeah.
was like everything that was going on personally in your own journey was also mirrored with your mom.
100%. Oh my God, right there. Stop the tracks. Exactly what you said. Everything was mirroring my relationship with my mom. It's so interesting that you say that. Even my female relationships had fallen apart. I mean, not all of them, but some of them. Even like the relationship with my kids changed after. I saw my kids in a different way. And don't kid yourself. I have teenagers. I definitely still have problems with them. You know what I mean? Like we have good days and bad. Okay, like I still go to therapy, okay? Like to this day. But yes, yes, I think a lot of times these things go back to original wounds. And if you don't take the time to work on them, they will pop up whether you like it or not at some point in your life. And I don't want to scare people. I want to empower people to be like, listen, if there's something that's been showing up over and over and over, and there's a pattern happening, by the way, I had many signs before I got Lyme disease. I just didn't listen. I didn't slow down. I gave birth. 6 weeks later, after my second, I went back to work. I got postpartum depression. I got anemia. Then I got the Lyme disease. See, those there were timelines where I had opportunities to possibly prevent this Lyme from becoming active. For all I know, I don't know. I mean, maybe I had it like a chicken pox and my immune system was doing a good job of keeping it dormant. But I was not slowing down. I was like an Energizer bunny and my yang qi completely wiped out. I was like so yang qi. And for those of you that don't know what yang qi means, it's like the heat and the warmth of the body and like the things that in yang in Chinese medicine helps you fight disease. It's like it's the fire, the fire. And if you don't have enough of it, things can happen in the body where, you get, low immunity, right? And autoimmunes. And my yang qi was so low. I mean, I literally thought many, many times I was dying only because my yang qi had my Mingmen fire was so out. By the way, Lyme disease unfortunately does that. It does attack a lot of the nervous system, which then translates to yang qi. Shoo. But that's the physical. I helped out with Chinese medicine. I helped out with herbs. I did a lot of moxa. God bless my husband who helped me through that whole crazy period of my life. And he's still to this day helping me when I have flares. But I want to say the biggest thing that changed it for me was the spirituality. It's the knowing that no matter what happens physically to me, my spirit is still okay. I am still going to be all right. I had to tap into something higher than myself. When I realized that something higher than myself is in charge of this really awful experience that I'm having, the deep suffering of physical experience and pain. I was having physical pain all the time. I was like, all of a sudden, it canceled out a lot of this. the physical symptoms because my mind was thinking differently about it. I was like mind training. So this is what was so powerful about that experience. When I started mind training and saying, no, we are not going to think like this. So what? I know we have migraines. I know we have this. I know everything looks like shit right now. I'm still going to just stand on the foundation that I'm healed. I am healed. Everything is going to work out. Everything is going to be exactly as it's supposed to be. I think Louise Hay says something like, I love and accept myself exactly as I am. She has this like mantra affirmation that I literally would live on. And I would say, I love and accept myself exactly as I am. Even when I didn't feel like it, man. Even when I didn't feel like it. And because what happened was like, I then was able to, my body was then able to listen and be like, okay, maybe we're safe enough to just kind of like not have these inflammatory symptoms like shoot off so often. Slowly but surely, my nervous system started calming down, is what I'm trying to say. So you have to do mind training when you have an autoimmune or you have an illness like that, because the nervous system will just start firing all over the place because it doesn't feel safe. So there was a lot that I had to learn through that process. I'm still learning, Hornani. I'm still not done. I feel like I'm in like stage 2 now, because now I'm having like different symptoms with perimenopause and I'm like, "Uh-oh, am I having PTSD from the Lyme? Like when I get this, uh-oh, is this Lyme or is this perimenopause?" I constantly have to go between the two and it's very, very difficult for me. But I don't have as much like as much. I still have fear, but I don't have as much fear like, "Oh, this is gonna be end." No, it's not the end. This is
Yeah.
just a season, right?
Yeah. I love that you keep saying that. It's just a season.
It's just a season. It's a
Yeah.
season because you have to stand on that. This is not forever. Everything we're going through is temporary. Even the gurus talk about this. Everything we go through in life is temporary. One minute we're here, one minute, we're in the astral world or we're in heaven or whatever you believe in. Like it's just we take life so serious. And my goal is to become more present in the moment of what I am, right? And what does that mean? For me, that means my spirituality. So everything's not perfect. Everything may not feel great. I may not feel great right now, but my spirit knows that everything is going exactly as it's supposed to. That's what I stand on. You see?
Yeah. I hear
So,
you. I hear you. I think of Chinese medicine. I think of Ayurveda. Like there's
yes,
the whole premise of the medicine exists that you are already whole. If you're on this planet in body, you are already whole. And then, like you said, whether we call it a program or like we would call it a pattern, this human experience comes with patterns. And so then learning those patterns and knowing those patterns don't stay forever, it's just a season.
yes,
Spring turns into summer, summer turns into fall. That happens within us too. And so it is really coming. I love this beautiful bridge between when you say spirit and spirituality is just wisdom that transcends time and space and culture and language,
yes,
but then bringing it into a way that we can also use it as medicine. And that is just
absolutely.
powerful. So powerful. It's making me so grateful that I went into this medicine, right? I mean, I have this often where I'm like, oh, thank God I went down this road instead of the other road, which would have been like a neurosurgeon or something. But like, how incredible that we get to be part of keeping this tradition on this planet at this time.
Oh my God, absolutely. I mean, like, when I heard that some of the acupuncture schools were shutting down, my heart skipped a beat, and I was like, "I have to do something to keep this lineage going." What we're doing right now with our life's work, with treating patients, with your podcast, these are the seeds that are going to continue to grow the medicine, or teaching in a university, or whatever it means for you. It is very profound. I mean, how did it stand the test of time to even be here right now? They must have done stuff like this. They've done stuff like self cultivation and art and right? Right? I
Yeah.
mean,
Well, and
right? The
sharing
Japanese
storytelling, sitting around, telling
storytelling,
story. You cannot
storytelling.
let it die. You have to keep it going through language, through written word, like all the books,
Yes.
like so written word, verbal, and also through story. Like, growing up in the Hawaiian culture, I'm a hula dancer. So we tell story through
Wow.
movement and dance. Like those are stories. I don't know if people know that, but like, those are stories you're recreating through the mele, through the through the words, but also then through the movement, and that's how things stayed alive. So storytelling in written word and verbal word and movement. And the
Wow.
way that, every time, maybe I'm extending this too much, but I see us as practitioners, every practitioner that's out there, I want to uplift them because that's our
Yes.
version of movement dance, of storytelling. It's like we keep it
Yes.
alive by keeping it, by practicing it, right?
That's it. That's it right there. A lot of us might be struggling in this financial economy. I myself have seen that and feel that. And I just want those that are struggling or maybe beginning in this field to know, um, hang in there because spirit's got something really magical to share with you. And it's just the beginning, guys. Like it, I've been in practice what? I don't know, 14 years now, and I've had to practice with my husband for 10. And we've seen the evolution happen, but there is still something magical about this medicine that I cannot ignore. And I could not ever find this in any other field. Like truly, I could not I would not be as happy as I am doing what I do in another job for me personally, so I do agree with you. Like, just hang in there. Like, those of you who listen to this and are like, gosh, I don't know how to do this. Just know that God or spirit has your back and, you will find the way. Your path is being guided. It always has. You may just not know that. And now you're listening to this podcast. I mean, it's like you just never know. You just never know what you don't know. But spirit will still guide you there. And then you said something about Hawaii. I don't know if we have enough time if you want me to share the story about Hawaii, but something absolutely transformatively out of this world happened to me when I went to Maui last year. I went during the time that there was like a hurricane warning, and we had to leave our hotel and we found this Airbnb that was like in a, island area up on on like the mountain. Okay. Of course. And we find this like ashram place and it's magical. It's like this whole acre of land that this guy has and it's in Hawaii. And he starts asking me questions about like who we are and we're all like, "Oh my god, you're soul family. I recognize you." Oh, he's like, "Yeah, you're soul family." Like we knew each other, right? It was so magical. And then he said something to me. He said, "Wait, before you came here, what did you do?" What I had done was I had danced in the how do I say this? The Black Rock? I don't know, there's like a beach that's like got black rock somewhere in Maui. I was at one point I started feeling the spirit of Hawaii and the mana, and I started singing and dancing to her land. And I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was doing. And my husband was videoing me, or my daughter was videoing me. And I started feeling her speak to me as I was dancing to her and offering like my love to her. I don't know what was happening. And then we find this guy's magical forest land Airbnb that we stay at. And he's like, "Oh, that makes sense. When you did the offering to Pele, I work with her on the land and you were sent here. 100% you were sent here." And then he starts channeling to me about my perimenopause because I was telling him what I was going through. And he's like, "You are going into this phase earlier than most because there is not enough eldership around you. So spirit is creating eldership through you." And I was like, "What?" I mean, this is a guy. He's a spiritual guy, by the way. And he's like channeling, "Oh, no, this is why you were brought to the island. She wanted to tell you that this is part of the whole experience of you stepping into your eldership because you don't have that where you are." And I was like, "What?" I can't tell you how powerful that was that he said this to me. This is a man channeling this. I was like, "What?"
Truth bumps again everywhere.
And he's like, "You were supposed to come to the island for her to give you this message." And I literally felt like, oh my God, I'm definitely connected to Hawaii. Like Hawaii feels like my second home or my third home, shall I say. Because Iran is my second home. America's my first home. Hawaii is, I really feel like I know her and I've been with her. I feel like she's a living being, right?
Yeah.
And so I was just like, what? in the world? And so I had to tell you because I was like, "You're from the Hawaiian descent." And I'm like, "Is this a thing that she does?" She called me in and did that, and I had to dance to her. I didn't know what I was doing. I've never taken hula.
Yeah. No, but you are open to her messages. So Hawaii is
Yeah,
alive just like everywhere we are is an island from the indigenous perspective, from the Hawaiian perspective. So even
I see.
California is an island, right? It's part of the North American, what we now call North American. Every
I
landmass
see.
is the proverbial island, and it's the Aina. It's alive. It's alive. And our relationship with the land is it's part of that wholeness that we were talking about before, right? Like,
Uh,
you're already whole.
yes.
Even if you have diagnosis after diagnosis after diagnosis, you're
Yeah,
already whole.
absolutely.
Yeah. So your relationship with the land is part of that wholeness.
Wow.
However, based on how we were raised, influences, culture, belief, many people cut that off, whether that was through colonization decades ago, centuries ago. But that's what considered to be one of the major disconnects of the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual realm that
I
humanity as a
see.
family is going through is that disconnect with the
Wow.
island. So when you were there and you had that innate connection, I truly believe that there are certain areas on this planet where we just naturally feel more connected than others. And you obviously had that in Hawaii.
I
When I
did.
went to India, I mean, I feel that in Hawaii too, but when I went to India, I had the same thing.
Wow.
Like, I got off that island or I got off the plane and just started bawling, and all I could s
Wow.
I was like and people were looking at me like I was like, "I'm home, ma. I'm home, ma." That's what I just kept saying over and over, I'm home, ma. I'm home, ma." And I felt her just wrap me in a hug and all the chaos and the smells, I was like she just vibrated through me, and so I believe we all have this in us
Wow.
to be s part of our wholeness is that connection with the land. Some places
Mm.
more than others, but we can cultivate it if you don't feel connected. Like, I'm in Virginia right now. I never in a million years thought I would consider this home.
Yeah.
But here we are. I mean, it's so far from Hawaii. It's so far from Okinawa, these places that the land speaks to me and I connect with. But I can cultivate that connection with any land, no matter where you are, because it's part of your wholeness.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow. That
And it
makes
sounds
so
like
much sense.
Yeah, and it sounds like when you were in Hawaii, because you had that natural connection, you were able to open up that channel, and I don't wanna put words, but it seems like would you consider yourself a channel in some respect?
Absolutely. I literally felt like I was speaking to her and
Yeah,
she was speaking back to me. I literally felt like I had a transmission
transmission.
download literally by the act of
Yeah,
dancing on her land. I
yeah,
literally and I have it on my Instagram. I'm going to send it to you. I have me dancing to her. I'm speaking a language I don't know.
yeah. It happens.
Like it was
It so
amazing.
happens. Yeah, I can
Yeah.
imagine. I've
Yeah,
had
so
many of
it's
those moments on the island as
wow,
well, but elsewhere too.
so
So
beautiful.
beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Course, I
Yeah,
was
I
like, "I
think
have to
I
tell
mean
her."
can I share something that's just coming through? Take it or leave it for what it's will.
Course, of course.
Perhaps this is not only about the eldership, but also the land piece.
Mm,
That seems really almost in your face now that you say that out loud of that connection and the healing with the land and knowing that you come from a place of such beauty. Like Iran is, I've never been there, but everyone I know from Iran is so beautiful physically, mentally, spiritually, and all the pictures I've seen is just beautiful land. I
thank
wonder if
you.
there's part of this is also part of that next step of
Yeah,
not just the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, but also coming back to the land, whatever land you're on. I know right now you're in where are you again? Orange County?
Orange County.
Yeah. So I know I mean, yeah, even in Orange County, you know?
That is so true. I've always felt like a part of my being was left in Iran. I feel like, um, a part of my heart and my roots has been left there, and so there is, like, this longing and this pain for I think most Iranians where we feel like we're missing our home. It's really interesting that you say that. And so by maybe me doing like land work or working on the land per se, with eldership, with women, with other women, I think that would be really healing for me because I can't currently go visit Iran because it's so, the political situation is so unstable over there. But there's so many of us Iranian women who are so powerful, honestly, spiritually powerful. Like it's so spiritual over there. People just don't know it because you're hearing like a whole different side of it that is not part of the Iranian people, right?
Right. I was gonna say every Iranian person I know is I think it's one of those things, the spiritual aspect is so ingrained into culture
Yeah.
and person that it's not even talked about because it's just
Yes.
there. It's just there.
Yes. That's amazing you see that though, but a lot of people don't know that. It's almost been like kind of shut out for so many years because of 47 years of repression from the it was Islamic regime, right? With the regime, which again, you could call that a spiritual battle for all I know. I mean, you could call that a spiritual battle of dark versus evil, or yeah, I mean, light versus evil, or dark versus light. Everything could be looked at from that lens as well. But getting back to the land piece, I think you really hit something there. I think there is something to be done with maybe the eldership and land, healing of the land. And I could do it here too. It doesn't mean I have to necessarily go to Iran. You know what I
Right?
mean?
Right. Because it's all connected. She all comes from the same heart, right?
I see.
I'm having such a hard time putting words to this because these are things when you just grow up with it,
Yeah.
it's hard to sometimes translate. But yeah, so the Aina, so in Hawaii we call the Hawaii the Aina, but it's the land, and but she has a heart and it's the same heart of all the islands, meaning all the land masses, right? So it doesn't matter where you are, part of one's wholeness is their connection with her, with
Wow.
her heartbeat again, connecting with her. And if you think about so many people have immigrated at this point, right? Like,
Yeah.
and that roots, like where are my roots? Am
Exactly.
I think so many of us are existentially not knowing to even ask that, but it's there. It's showing up in so many ways of who am I,
Yeah.
or I don't belong, or I don't fit in, or I don't like it here. But underneath that is that disconnect from that root or the earth or the land.
Wow. That was such a download for me from you. I absolutely agree with you.
You have to keep me informed how that all unfolds.
I will. Maybe we'll do a sweat lodge together.
Or maybe, yeah, or you know what, I yesterday I got the download. It was like, okay, get your retreats back up again. Like I haven't done a retreat in
Oh,
so long.
yes.
But
Yes.
yesterday it came through and I wrote it down everywhere. It was like retreat, retreat. I mean, there's so many post-it notes around from yesterday that just say retreat time.
You really need to do the retreat. There's such a high calling for that from the eldership right now. It's absolutely necessary. Us women need that for sure. Absolutely. I can't wait.
Thank you for sharing your time, your light, your energy, your wisdom. My doors are open. Inspired doors are open. Come back. Please come back anytime.
Of course. Thank you.
If people want to reach out and connect with you, where's the best website for them to reach out and connect with you these days or social media?
Yeah, I mean, my social I'm pretty active on. It's Tina underscore Ghahramani, Ghahramani underscore acupuncture. So if you just look up Tina Ghahramani acupuncture on Instagram, I'm most active there. But you can always go on the Healing Light Family Acupuncture.com website. You can reach me on both of those pretty easily. Yeah, I mean, I'm super open to connecting, and if anybody has a transition of life or they need some guidance, I'm more than happy to help. I'm here to do this work.
Thank you. I'll make sure to have those specifically linked on the show notes to this episode as well.
Sure, sure. Oh, of course. Thank you.
So, you want to do a quick rapid fire?
Yeah, sure. I love it. I've never done this
First
before.
thing, okay, first thing that comes to mind, and then also, please, please say pass if you want to say pass too. Ready?
Yeah.
Best advice you ever received.
My dad said, everything in moderation in life will keep you a happy person.
What's the worst advice you've ever received?
I think the worst advice I've ever received is to follow everybody's beat because that's what you do. It's so not good advice.
Essentially, be a follower. Don't be your own self.
be a follower. And that is so far from who I am.
What book or show has your attention right now?
It's a little bit heavy, but When I See You Again by Rachel Poland, her son was taken in the October 7th hostage situation, but it was so good. It was so powerful. It's very, very difficult to listen to as a mother, but it has nuggets for how to still live life through grief. She is just an amazing human being. When I See You Again. I listened to the audiobook and it gives you this beautiful insight on Judaism as well, which I love to learn about other religions. So
Thank you. What is the most mystical thing about you?
most mystical thing. I mean, probably, I don't know,
We
like
can also change it to what is the most quirky, weird, mystical, unique thing about you that you're willing to share?
so this is really funny. When I'm in a really silly mood, I do like different voices and I try to do like cartoon voices. Sometimes I'll do like goat noises. I'm really silly sometimes because when I start getting really tired and really silly, I start literally doing different accents with my kids.
You know what's so great about that is earlier you said you grew up not being able to like voice who you were and what you believed. And here you are, like that's your go to. When you're so
Yeah,
tired and all the inhibitions are out the window, it's like,
totally. And it's fun and it's silly.
yeah. Oh, I love that. What is one thing you thought when you started that is different now?
One thing that I started that is different now. Okay. I think with this healing path, when I started, I definitely felt like you. I had to be the best healer and I had to be like the composed healer. And I actually completely think the opposite. You have to be your messy, fabulous, vulnerable, raw self. And that's actually what people love about you. There's no such thing as like you have your shit together because no one has their shit together.
Snap, snaps. Absolutely. What is challenging you these days?
I mean, I think what's challenging me these days is just like the unpredictable symptoms of the perimenopause and sometimes the Lyme. But really, that's it. I mean, I feel like I can handle everything else. I think it's more just physical, uncomfortable sensations. And I like to call it just sensations because I know that they're not permanent. I think that's really it for me at this time in my life. Yeah.
Who or what inspires you?
I really think that my kids inspire me a lot. And I will say God. God is like my ultimate inspiration or divine mother because I like to look at God in a father figure sometimes and then I like to look at her as a female. Other times I feel constantly inspired by God because if I am suffering on certain days, that's who I run to. And I feel like that inspiration never dies because that is what literally made us. How can I stop being inspired by that? And you know what I mean? And then there's so many ways that God magically makes things right. And you're like, how did you even do that? How did that even happen? It's just, it's absolutely unbelievable what God can do.
Finish the sentence. Be the type of person who.
Be the type of person who you can laugh and dance with.
And the mic drop. What is your one wish for healthcare?
I gotta say, for women's health. My one wish is for women's health to have more channels of support and support groups. I think women's health needs support groups, truly. That's what's missing.
Sounds like you're going to create one.
Probably. Maybe. Yeah. No, I think you're
Yeah.
right.
Oh. Thank you so much for being here. It's so wonderful to connect with you. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share it with someone who would appreciate it. Your support helps create positive ripples in our communities. Do you want to continue this conversation or do you have questions for the guest or want to explore more? Visit Yinspired Pod and it will take you to Substack where Yinspired lives. There you can subscribe, and with your free subscription, you'll receive every new episode, plus access to transcripts, show notes, resources, and the opportunity to join the discussion. From my heart to yours, create a day you love.